Hi all, welcome to another Dave Downey Fly Tying video production. Here I'll be sharing all my favourite flies and methods of tying them to help you guys catch fish around the world and to make fly tying more easier and more enjoyable. All the flies that I'm tying I personally use myself or have used in the past, and they're there to catch fish, they're not there to catch the angler. At the end of each of the videos I'm going to have a wee list of materials that you can either buy from myself along with the flies or whatever you like. But there'll be a link to the website and you can have a wee look at that if you want, and that will give you the flies or the materials to tie these killer patterns. I hope you enjoy the videos, I hope you pass them on to your mates. Hit the subscribe bell so you can get new notifications when I've done a new video, and you know, just enjoy the videos. I enjoy doing them, I hope you enjoy actually watching them and tying the flies. So today I'm going to be tying a fly that I never invented this fly. Well, this modification, I would say, yeah, it was me. But it's a famous fly. It's called the Shipman's buzzer, with a little difference. Now, I know Dave quite well, and he's a great angler, but I'll talk my way through. I'll give you a bit of history on the fly. I'll give you a bit of information on Dave Shipman himself as an angler. So for this fly, we are going to be tying. I've got a size 10 hook in the vise. So I'm using a fully milled 1530, it's a barbed one. Obviously you can use a barbless. That's a size 10, it's quite a big hook. Obviously you can tie it on smaller sizes as well. So we're going to need one of them. We're going to need some I'm using Aerowing. So this is kind of a posh fly because Aerowing is quite expensive, but you can just use normal polypropylene yarn, but white yarn of some description. For the rib we're going to use some UTC. So we're using UTC and it's medium. For the body I'm using my Candyfloss dubbing. Now that's a light brown one. Obviously the original fly's tied fiery brown seals fur. You can use whatever you like, but don't be scared to tie it in different colours because orange ones work, claret ones, black ones, olive ones. Shipman's buzzer is just a Shipman's buzzer at the end of the day. But as I say, this one's a little bit different. We're also going to need some deer hair. Just normal deer hair. So this is a pattern that we're going to come out with. Basically a Muddler version. Now, as I say, I'll tell you the story about it as we tie it. So I'm just using black thread for this one. And we're going to tie the thread in. Now, me personally, I joined the Port Glasgow Angling Club. Something like, I think it was 1983 or 84. And through the club I got a chance to fish for Scotland in the youth team in 1986, which it was my first chance at fishing competitions for Scotland. So we'll just tie in the yarn, or Aerowing, as I say. It's quite posh that I'm using Aerowing because it's quite expensive. We're just going to tie that in and then run the thread back up. So as I say, I fished for Scotland all those years ago, and through that I ended up, when I think I was 17, and I qualified to fish in the Scottish clubs. Or yeah, well, it was the Scottish clubs, but it was a long time ago. So that was 1987 for the Port Glasgow Angling Club, and the team was me, David McAllister, the guy that taught me how to fish, and I'm sure it was Pat Graham was the other angler. And I remember the night, it was on the Lake of Mentieth. It was quite a calm little ripple night and there was fish moving, and I basically fished a Shakespeare Professional brown fly line, which I would say is a dye 3 nowadays. So we'll just take that right up because we're not going to worry about the front bit just now. So I would say it'd be a dye 3 nowadays, and I was fishing basically hoppers and one of these on a point. And I did grease this up, so it was another one of those ones, chuck out the dry flies, leave them, and you know, once the fish didn't take them, start retrieving with a slow figure 8 or a strip. And I ended up top rod that night. And the funny part of the story is that I was top rod, which then got you into the Sunday Post Champion of Champions. That shows you how long ago it was, 1987, and I was too young to receive the whiskey for top rod, so I don't know who took it, but one of the other guys took it, and I never got it. So yeah, but Dave Shipman, famous buzzer, Shipman's buzzer, you know, it's a great fly on its own. Dave Shipman's a phenomenal angler. He's one of my inspirations growing up. He basically was the captain of one of the best teams ever in competitions in the 90s and 80s. You know, just phenomenal. Rutland regular, really nice guy as well. But he sadly doesn't really fish competitions anymore. So that's us kind of finished. So I'm just going to trim this one just at the tail, right? This one, as I say, I'm not going to trim that just now, because what we need to do, now there's two ways of doing this. When you do the deer hair, you want to get a decent sized chunk, because you're not wanting to be doing 2 runs in it, you just want 1 run of deer hair. And it's up to you if you want to keep a cloak on it. It looks nice, I have them in both, so just catch it in and spin it. So what I mean of the cloak is these parts here, if you want to keep some of them in, you know, to give you a sort of cloak over the fly. It's just another variation, so all I'm going to, I mean that's all I need to tie that in, and I'll just lift that up, pull everything out of the way. As I say, I never invented the Shipman's buzzer. I mean, Shippo done that a long time ago, but I did tie this, and the idea of thinking was, what you need to remember is that 90% of the fish in these fisheries are freshly stocked, and when they came from the pens, what were they eating? They were getting fed pellets. The muddler's like a pellet, and that was my idea of thinking behind it, and give them a sort of natural looking thing, and obviously you know, have the muddler bit like the pellet. So all I'm going to do is just trim it away, and you can take it as small as you want or as big as you want. Normally I would take it off and do it over the bin, but because I'm doing it on a camera, I'm just going to keep it in situ on the vise. Like I say, so you can use this as a pulling fly, or you can use it static, but when there's fresh, and it hasn't changed to this day, you've got to remember these fish that are getting stocked, they were getting fed on pellets, and a pellet just looks like a muddler. You know, it's just a brown circular. So like I say, I'm going to leave this one with a bit of a cloak on it, because I've already tied one earlier without the cloak. Right. Just remember, take your time with this, because you can't add it back in. So, and all I'm doing is going at an angle up the way, so as you can just keep trimming away. Some of them you can just pull out if they're embedded in the cloak and you want to keep the cloak. Just grab them and pull them out. Right. And at the end, all we want to do is cut that bit. That's it. There you go. So it's a Shipman's muddler at the end of the day. Or I don't know what to call it, but as I say, I've had them in my box since 1986, and it was just because it was a very popular fly in those days. It still works. I mean, we kind of neglect all these older patterns, but you know, one of my other favourite flies was a Soldier Palmer muddler, which was a great fly. But you can see how good that is, and it works really well, and it sits in the surface film as well. So I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you pass the word on about my channel and get your mates to subscribe as well. I want to try and get the subscriptions up, and I really do appreciate any subscriptions or comments or suggestions. Don't forget, you can share my videos. Feel free to share it on your Facebook pages. You can follow me on Facebook. You'll get me as David C. Downey. You can follow me on Instagram, which is Dave Downey Fly Fishing, and I've got a guiding site if you want any tuition on the Lake of Mentieth, Loch Leven, River Clyde, Tummel, Tay, or anywhere, to be quite honest. And the guiding site is www.davedowneyfishing.com. The online store is www.fly-fishingworld.com. And as I says, I appreciate you watching, I appreciate your comments. I mean, I wouldn't do it if people weren't catching fish on the flies. So thanks again for watching. Have a good day. Hopefully you get out fishing, you're going to catch some fish and enjoy yourself. Bye.